So in this video, I'm going to be doing my first 8 weeks of pregnancy, so from 0 to, I guess, 8 weeks. So the first 8 weeks were pretty much like half of them I didn't know I was pregnant, and then the other half I did. So I found out that I was pregnant at around week 5, which was a complete shock to us because it was exactly 5 days after we purchased our new home. And so it was the last thing we were anticipating, thinking about, planning, intending. I mean, because we've had 2 miscarriages recently, or in the last year plus or whatever, we obviously would be happy about being pregnant, but it was the last thing that we're thinking about. I've had such a rough year this past 2020, and so has everybody else, but you know, it was just the last thing we're thinking about. In any case, I found out that I was pregnant first, and then so I did one of those strips, the HCG urine strips, and actually I can show you guys. So this is the same book that I purchased for my second pregnancy, and so I'm just using it for this pregnancy because I was like, I don't want to buy a new one just in case things don't work out, but I guess things seem to be working out, knock on wood. So anyway, so these are the strips that I'm talking about. Yeah, took a bunch of these tests. I think I took like 4 of those tests on the first day that I was feeling like I'm pregnant. And I was saying to myself, they instantly turned, so they instantly became positive. And in my mind, I was like, there's no way that I'm pregnant. So I kept taking them, and then I'm like, they're probably expired. So, you know, anyways, I'll take a real test. And so then I didn't want to tell Morgan yet because I thought, I don't know, like I just thought there was so much happening, and I was like, this can't be true, so whatever. So 2 days later, that's when I asked him to go buy a pregnancy test, or he was out taking a walk, and then I told him, babe, do you mind picking up a pregnancy test on your way back home? No, I think I might have bought it by myself, actually, come to think of it. I don't remember. Maybe he does, but I don't remember. So week 5, I was basically taking multiple pregnancy tests. So I took a lot of these strips. Like I said, I think these are just some of them because I kept saying, okay, so let me track the lines so to see if it gets any lighter. So I think the first 5 days I was taking it every single day. Then at some point I started taking it like once every 5 days or something like that. But yeah, the line kept getting darker, so that did not change. But in terms of how I knew or thought that I was pregnant or might be pregnant was because I was just feeling sick, like nauseous and like just lightheaded, headaches. I was just tired, like I was just feeling sick is the best way I can say it. So that's kind of what made me take a pregnancy test. And then I did notice that my period was late, but it wasn't a big deal to me because of the fact that I have had late periods this past year. Like, yeah, everything has been off, and so it wasn't a good indicator of being pregnant. And so that's kind of what prompted me. And I fully don't remember every single thing because it feels like so much other stuff has happened since then that I'm probably going to forget some details. So in week 5, I started noticing veining on my breast. I think that might have been also something that made me want to take a pregnancy test because I basically don't have visible veins in general. And so the fact that I could, like, my boobs felt bigger, but they weren't sore or anything, but they just felt bigger. And then I thought maybe I'm putting on weight, but then I started seeing the veins on my boobs, like And I'm like, yeah, that's really weird. So that was a thing. And then I was, in the middle of the night, I was getting these cramps. So it's sort of like needles and pins, or pins and needles. Where like in the middle of the night, I would have to wake up and just start rubbing my legs. Like I'd feel like it's not so much like a cramp, but it's more like pins and needles. And so I was feeling a lot of that for sure in week 5. And yeah, I had a pretty good appetite, more than I had previously had a good appetite. So like I was eating a lot more. But again, yeah, that's what I was feeling in week 5. And then in week 6, my nausea continued. And I mean, I won't keep repeating this nausea thing because it's been a constant feature, really. Like, so just assume nausea and vomiting is there in the background. But yeah, the nausea continued. I wasn't necessarily vomiting at this point, but just feeling nauseous. And I started noticing I have stretch marks on my breasts. And then I noticed that I got one of like my navel line, the line that cuts down your belly button, lower, like at the bottom part of your belly button, the center downwards, like that got darker. Somehow I started noticing it more during that week. Yeah, my boobs got sore. The leg sort of pins and needles thing continued, and it just was like sometimes I would take a walk and I would feel like I would need to stop to rub my legs, or like while I'm walking I need to rub my legs almost. And that didn't necessarily help, but it was just like the act of feeling like I'm doing something about it, I guess. I was definitely tired and thirsty. And then this is when my skin started acting weird. So I've had a pretty consistent Korean beauty routine. So I've used the same or similar products for the longest time, and all of a sudden I was now using my products and I was feeling like I'm dry. And like, first it was like a bit of an outbreak. So I had a couple of like outbreaks from nowhere. Like my skin doesn't outbreak like that. And so I got outbreaks, and then I also started just noticing that my skin was kind of tender. And so but I continued using my products. And then this week was kind of interesting because I basically love anchovies. And so before pregnancy and all my life, I've loved, like, let's say pizza, I love anchovies and onion thin crust pizza. Like that's my favorite pizza if you want to make my day. And I know most people hate anchovies, but I love anchovies. I love sardines, that kind of thing. And so all of a sudden in week 6, I just couldn't. I was just like gagging at the thought of anchovies. So I've not had anchovies since then, which is unfortunate because, they've been there for me a lot of the time. Although I have thought about them, like I thought about them I think 2 weeks ago, because I was thinking it would be so yum to have like mac and cheese, anchovies, and olives. And then Morgan's like, no, you can't do that. But yeah, like in my mind, I think it would be a really tasty recipe. I think on one of those days when I'm not feeling sick, I'm going to try it out, and I'll let you know how that goes. But it sounds a little gross, but I think it's tasty. Anyways, so I have thought of anchovies since, but I'm afraid to eat them because I'm afraid to even open a jar because I'm afraid that the smell is just going to offend me. And then I'll never eat them again, so we do not want that. Okay, so week 7, I started noticing, the feature here was my skin again. So my skin outbreaks continued, and I just started, my skin just wasn't doing well. Like, so since week 6, my skin just was not living its best life. And then, but I kind of continued using my beauty products, and then I just cut out a couple of them. So things that I thought had maybe some acidic something in them, I stopped using them, which isn't much really. Like, my products are pretty chill, pretty mild, I guess is the right word. But anyway, I just kept getting outbreaks, and then this particular week was interesting because the one thing I wrote down that I remember quite clearly was just how bad my memory was, or I started noticing how bad my memory is, because since we're packing, I wrote on a box, like I packed my my beauty stuff or something, and I was writing on the box beauty products or something, and I couldn't spell the word beauty. Like, I actually spent like 10-15 minutes trying to figure out how to spell beauty, which is kind of ridiculous. But if you look on the box, I scratched it out like 6 times. So it's like B-U-B-U-E-U-T-Y? Beauty. Yeah, so anyway, so I couldn't spell beauty. I eventually got it. And I guess since then, Morgan every so often will say, "Babe, how do you spell beauty?" So anyways, that was kind of funny. So my memory started getting foggy, sort of, or confused, maybe is the word. And then lastly, week 8. So week 8 was the worst for my skin, and I actually wish I had recorded this, but because we're in the middle of moving and stuff, like, I was just not having it, kind of thing. But my skin was so dry, like, and I get that it's winter right now, and you know, it makes sense that we need more moisture in the winter, but generally I don't need any more moisture than I normally use. So I usually just add an oil or a thicker nighttime moisturizer to my routine, but I don't change my routine for winter. But this time around, like, my skin just felt so dry. Like, I felt like I was, like, my eyelids were so dry, just dry. Everything was so dry. Dry is the word that I can think about. And like, I was even peeling, because I remember like trying to use a toner on my face, my regular toner, and again, it's a super mild toner, but I just felt like I was burning my face. And so after that, I just stopped using all those Korean products, and switched to Burt's Bees, which is what I've been using since. But like, my skin was peeling, like I was literally shedding, especially around my eyes, like over here, like just my eyelids were just so dry. And then yeah, that was week 8. Burning skin, dry skin, nausea, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. So that's basically all the symptoms I had for the first 8 weeks. And in terms of appointments / anything I didn't do anything for those first 8 weeks. My doctor wanted me to do an ultrasound, but I was just hesitant because of my prior experiences. And so I was just like, there's, with everything going on at hospitals right now, and also because I'm not really keen on getting too attached without knowing whether this pregnancy is going to work out and stuff like that, I'd rather just wait it out and just avoid. Really, it was more of an avoiding strategy. And I think I'm okay with doing that, to be honest. Like, I was okay with my decision to not go and get overly checked out and stuff like that. Because I guess I felt like, if it's going to work out, it's going to work out. There's nothing that a doctor's appointment will do that would change anything, right? So anyways, I didn't do any medical tests, but I did tell my doctor that I was pregnant probably around week 6 or 7 when she called me. So that's what happened the first 8 weeks of this pregnancy.